So I watched another Melissa McCarthy movie. Actually, her first with her company apparently. Frankly, I have no idea how she's one of the highest paid actresses in the world. I can understand, Lawrence and Johan Scarlettson. You know, but you know, just what is she plays the same thing all the time. So last time, the one I watched, I think it was my first of hers. Not sure if I ever watched anything anymore by her. The last one I watched, Life of the Party, was practically the same thing. Like it even has the same storyline. Sure, differences, just ever so slightly, and the other one she happened to be supposedly married to her actual husband at Shetland. Here he's just a boss, and she throws rappers at him. She practically plays the same exact character. She, I don't know, maybe, I'd be surprised anyway if it's only a couple of movies where she plays the same. The others somehow are all different. I'd be surprised. She plays practically an identical character. So, apparently, playing an identical character can make you one of the highest paid actresses. Huh. Well, um, yeah. So anyway, uh, this one, the first, with her production company called Tammy was, eh, it had some moments where it's sort of forced laughs. It always relies on this pathetic sort of humor. Where you know, and while thrashing the place where she was fired, was sort of interesting. It's like what people might want to really do, despite not doing in real life. But then, she trashed everyone's place for very little reason as well. Like at one point, just because someone called her granny a drunk. I mean, I guess she considered it an insult, but she was actually a drunk, so it's only stating reality. Um, and yeah, so that's kind of a repeat sort of joke, I suppose. You could just chalk it up to that. And otherwise, um, it's very. Even the fact that they mention swollen feet, that's not no comedy whatsoever. And the fact that they somehow, want to make the audience think that her supposed granny died. I mean, I knew she was just going to come back alive spontaneously because people don't really die in comedy movies. If they do, it won't really be a comedy movie. But the fact that they do it in the first place is just horrid as well. They I don't know, they're honestly trying to manipulate the audience, but it makes no sense. This is, it's not supposed to be. Honestly, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. But anyway, other than that, though, and there's just a lot of cheesy, cheesy humor, really. Um, and obviously, it's comedy that relies very much on the lowest common denominator, you know. And yeah, so it doesn't quite, it's not intelligent comedy. Even even Charlie Chaplin and slapstick isn't usually the best form of comedy either. There's a lot of slapstick that isn't intelligent, but Charlie Chaplin comparison, this despite being slapstick, is a genius in comparison. This isn't slapstick technically, but the humor is still very much lowest common denominator. It's all about at the very end, obviously, her weight is mentioned. Obviously, it's the elephant in the room. But I mean, it's not a joke per se. It's a drunk person happens to say. But I don't know. I mean, at least one thing though. One slight positive thing is that they didn't go too far with the idiotic romance, right? I mean, some comedies, try to turn into a rom-com, or even if you have a rom-com and like most of the comedy is weak, like it is, yeah, and then they try somehow to have to go into a romantic direction, which is poor, really. So I'm not going to just go from thinking that it just has bad comedy to somehow, oh, it has good romance. I don't think I've ever seen a good rom-com where I thought, yep, that's good romance. Just it doesn't work that way. If you have romance that works on screen, it really needs to be in itself as a part of drama, not quite a rom-com really. In rom-coms, ideally, they should be just integrated, just through genres at once. That's pretty much it. It doesn't really work separately per se. But anyway, that's the one thing it didn't do. At least there was a supposed love interest, but after a weird beginning, they did go steady. I mean, honestly, yeah, and at least that's that. I mean, it was still not funny, what happened there, but and obviously it's a lot of sort of on the nose humor. The fact that both she and her granny had an interest in the same person. So it's not quite, laugh out loud funny or anything. It's just, very much in the background, sort of comedy. And yeah, it's barely comedy really. Yeah. Somehow though, it's sure enough, it made box office. Well, it's made a profit of about 80 million apparently, which is why she's so highly paid. Clearly. So yeah, I don't know how people work because the average rating isn't too high either. Right now it's below 5. So I don't know how exactly it works. I mean, if people thought it was so mediocre even back when it was released, then why would they recommend it to others? And if they didn't recommend it, then did masses of people just happen to go watch it without any recommendations? I don't know. One of those mysteries. Sometimes you get profit along with critical awards, whatnot, reviews, etc., and a highly rating audience. Sometimes you get the opposite. Sometimes you get nothing. Yeah. Sometimes you get just a profit somehow. I don't know how it works. Honestly, sometimes I just wonder. 'Cause, yeah, it's a bit bizarre how usually that's hand in hand with something else at least. Usually to do with the audience simply liking it. But anyway, yeah. Uh, Honestly, I thought Life of the Party, which I watched some months ago. I mean, it wasn't much funnier either, but it was slightly funnier because of the context. This was aimless pretty much. Apart from the objective of her supposed granny to just drink herself to death. Apparently, that's pretty much it. But at least in the other one, you get an older person herself trying to go through college, and so I don't know, just this is something sort of a framework behind it. And I mean, the comedy is still very much the same though, so it's still sort of cringe sort of comedy, So that's what she specializes in, I suppose. But I can't believe she even has practically identical plots. So if I ever watched the Boss, which is apparently in between these two movies, I'm assuming he's going to fire her again. Her husband is going to leave her again. Won't even be a spoiler if I knew that happened. It's the same exact thing. I don't quite remember if She was fired from her job in the life of the party, but can't believe this is the same exact thing. Her husband always leaves and all. She's trying to say something to Ben Falcone. It's such a strange relationship. He always has cameos in movies, and at the very end there, he was practically flirting with someone else. So I don't know how that works, and unless they have some sort of uh, polyamorous relationship or something. Yeah. Um, Apparently, in I think the boss, her children appear as well. So we tick off all the nepotistic boxes. Why not? Anyway, yeah. As I said, I have no idea how she's so popular and highly paid. Yeah, I guess these sort of movies are popular. Like, it's one thing for Hunger Games to be popular, right? You can sort of see where it is. I mean, it does actually have a plot. I mean, sure, it's mostly younger people who like it, but you can sort of see why they like it. I really can't see why anyone likes this. So, I mean, it's such unintelligent comedy. Just is. It's always the same. I mean, she probably thinks, if she fell, uh, just fell, on her face or something, that's comedic somehow. Like even at the beginning, there she just getting her hair all over her food. I mean, that's supposed to be comedic, but anyway, it's what it is. Yeah, it's Melissa McCarthy. Who knew? And she practically plays herself, as it seems like.